All right, welcome back to the stream. Welcome back to another video. Today we're going to get into a variety of topics, but this first one, we're going to talk about the shocking truth that Elon has talked about profit margins and how Tesla has a certain strategy, or what he said might be a little bit shocking with how they are going to price vehicles, price Teslas in the near future. A little bit shocking for some of us that have just bought one, a little bit shocking for some that just took delivery. And if you're on the cusp, if you're waiting to take delivery, this might be interesting news for you to be aware about. But we're getting into that. We're going to get into that plus a variety of different topics. But before we get into that, let's roll that intro real quick. All right, so thanks for watching another stream. Thanks for watching another video. My name is Dennis, and I love talking about Tesla hacking, as I like to call it, but basically just getting the best deal on a Tesla at the best financing rate. So definitely hit that subscribe if you're interested. In today's video is actually sponsored by my Patreon link down below in the description, where you can get access to the best Tesla buying guide after joining my Patreon, which has lists of all the different credit unions and banks out there, some as low as 2.99 to 3.7%. So definitely check it out. Link down below in the description. And shout out to my latest Patreon members. Thank you for supporting. Thank you for joining. We've got William, Vikram, Ninja Koala, and Daniel. Thank you for supporting. Thank you for all this, the support. And so we'll get into this, but thank you for all. But thank you to everybody that comes in here, watches the stream, hits the like button, and comments on each and every one of the videos. But here's the article. So shout out to Inside EVs, of course. Here's the headline: Tesla can sell EVs for zero profit and push for higher volume, as said from Musk. So if you missed this, we briefly talked on this a few days ago. This actually stemmed from the earnings call that was just a few days ago on April 20th, or around that time frame this past week. And Elon and the team was asked, what's up with the most recent pricing drops, pricing strategy? How does the team take a look? Who makes the decisions, and really why, right? And so within that statement, they talked about how they looked at inventory on a global scale weekly, and they make decisions from that. But they didn't really want to get into it. As they even said, they don't really want to talk about any of sort of the pricing strategy. But later on in the call, or during some part of the call, they asked the question got asked somehow again. And this is the quote that Elon actually said: Tesla is in a uniquely strong strategic position because we're the only ones making cars that technically we could sell for zero profit now. Quote, zero profit now, and then yield actual tremendous economics in the future through autonomy. And so that's talking about full self-driving, enhanced autopilot, and of course autopilot. Quote, no one else can do that. Not sure how many of you will appreciate the profundity of what I just said, but it is extremely significant. So of course, this is because Tesla is trying to lock onto that full self-driving. They're trying to hopefully show how impactful that actually may be with like robo-taxi and other things like that. And they're going to, they think they're going to tip the scale and one day show the value that full self-driving is 100% worth it for a ton of people, and that everybody that has a Tesla now, or everybody that's buying a Tesla, will want to pay that $15,000 or $20,000 or whatever the price may be at that point, because it may still keep going up and up and up. So they feel like, or Elon feels like, they're going to make a lot of margin from that, because that's software, right? Like they've already locked in, or they're continuing to lock in certain costs on that. But if they can get that on a much global scale with full self-driving and lock in all that certain profit, then they would be much more profitable. That's what they're trying to say. So that's an interesting thing, right? Because we've known for a while that Elon certainly prioritizes volume over margin. So here's an article from Seeking Alpha where they quoted Elon again, and basically Elon prefers not having higher profit margins and wants to sell a ton more volume. I mean, they do have a big number to hit this year, 1.8 million vehicles, and so Elon and the team could essentially keep dropping prices lower and lower. I mean, if you aren't aware of what happened pretty recently, Tesla did a $3,000 price drop in the US market for the Model Y across all trims. And so a couple of these vehicles are at the lowest price they have ever been ever. I'm talking like Model Y Performance. It's never been 53,990. It actually never was 56,990, and that at that low price. Model Y all-wheel drive also at a very low price. You can see right here, this is a Tesla price history tracker. It tracks all the different lines across all the different models, and you can see the all-wheel drive also didn't really exist recently, but the Model Y standard range, you got to take a look here, 39,990, 41,990. So we could definitely get into an environment where we could see segmented rear-wheel drive, all-wheel drive across the different models, and maybe potentially could we see a 39,990 Model Y standard range? I mean, it was in that range back then, right? So it could certainly come back at a certain point. I'm not saying it would go back to that immediately, but it was a long time ago, 2021, but also not that long of a time ago, right? So we could easily see this back. And taking a look at this, I mean, there was a long range rear-wheel drive Model Y trim at some time at a point as well for $47,000. And so prices could go back to 2019 levels. I mean, I'm not saying they will, but essentially Tesla's got some room. They've done it before in the past, and they could easily, or not easily, but it's within their range. Like jumping to the Model 3 side, taking a look at some of the old prices way back when. I mean, of course, you could adjust it for inflation and all that stuff, but $35,000 seems to be the cheapest a Model 3 ever existed at. So could we go back to that certain price point? I mean, I think at some point we might have to, if Tesla runs into some winds, opposing winds in the next, with the economy moving this way. And so that price, Teslas are expensive vehicles at the end of the day. $40,000, $30,000, $50,000, $60,000, and coupled with interest rates at the highest rates that they are right now, 5.59%. At the end of the day, something's got to give. Like, people are not going to be wanting to pay these $600, $700, $800 a month, because even though this payment calculator on the screen right here shows $605 a month, it's not factoring any state taxes or anything like that. Of course, it's also not factoring the $7,500 federal tax credit, and also not factoring any state incentives at the end of the day. But even though it says it right there, I would still take it with a grain of salt. I mean, I would usually, at the end of the day, you want to add about 10% on top of it for state taxes, fees, and all that stuff, and you can back out all the different stuff after that. But definitely some pretty interesting stuff. Let me know what your thoughts on it. Inventory charts are still looking pretty healthy still. Model 3 inventory is still at a pretty high level. Even with those most recent price cuts, they are still not dropping. And taking a look at Model Y still is a little bit on a downward trend. So it seems like those Model Y price cuts, the $3,000 across all different trim lines, are actually seem to be working, and people are looking to buy a Tesla Model Y at the current prices. So that's good. I mean, it's good, as we are a Tesla shareholder. That's good because we want to see healthy sales at the end of it, but we don't want to see more price drops. I mean, who knows, right? I mean, Tesla, if they don't want to make profit and they want to go for huge numbers, huge delivery numbers, then that's of course a different story at the end of the day. But we're going to jump into our next topic. But before we do that, this video is actually sponsored by my Patreon link. Down below in the description is the Patreon link where you can support the channel. And there's a variety of benefits, but some of them include actually scheduling a call with me, where you can ask me any questions about buying a Tesla, selling a Tesla, or even financing a Tesla. And after you join the Patreon, you get a link to my buying guide, which has links to all the resources and websites that I use to get the best possible deal at the best financing rate, including credit unions and banks on the list. They'll all have interest rates lower than Tesla financing, as low as 2.99 to 3.7%. So definitely check it out. Link down below and the description. And as an added benefit, I do respond to all Patreon DMs in the Patreon app. So if you want to ask a question, you can definitely sign up, join, and then send me a question. And I'm pretty responsive in that group if you want to do that. But definitely check it out, and link down below at the Patreon app. Water break.